Welcome back to Talkin' Shit, where we are talking all sorts of shit. Schitt's Creek, that is. I'm Jess Sterling. We're talking Season 2, Episode 6 of Schitt's Creek, Moira versus Town Council. And of course, as usual, I'm joined with not just one, but two men who have returned from the salt mines today. First, Stuart, how are you?
I don't think I could ever be described as being in a salt mine in my life. It's ridiculous. But I'm not alone. We're joined by Will.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, my husband Will is here to talk about the woes of having a beard and what happens if you shave your beard without notifying your
It
significant
gets
other.
full of salt. Like, you got to shave it every 6 months. The salt buildup.
How would that go down? Just out of curiosity.
It has gone down.
Not well.
It has. We'll get into it.
Well, we're going to talk about
wow.
that on the podcast because this is why originally, so a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. Originally, Will was supposed to come on last week for last week's podcast, and we had a lot going on. We were leaving for a trip that same day, and I said, you know what, we're going to delay you coming on a week because I can't. It's too much setup. It's too much stress. And it honestly worked out better because this episode fits for Will coming on as a guest so much better.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for those who don't know, this is my husband, Will. He's in a different room in the same house currently. So that's a fun time. And he's here to talk Schitt's Creek. Will, do you want to give the listeners a little bit of a background on what, like, when you started watching Schitt's Creek, how many times you've seen it, your love of it, etc.?
I think I started watching it. I caught a random, like, couple of scenes when you were watching it the first time and you were really recommending it, but I was just like in a grumpy mood and I was like, I don't know about this show. And then I was like, oh, Eugene Levy's in it, and he was really the draw for me because I loved him in like everything else I've seen him in, like Best in Show, American Pie, like mainly those two. And then in 2020 it was a binge show for me. It was a comfort show. And I went through all of it. I've gone through all of it a second time. And this, I think, is my third full time watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, like 3 times. But also like the consistent thing of like everyone saying 2020 watch, like during the COVID thing of everyone kind of like, I need something comforting. But interesting that you were a bit too grumpy for it first time.
Absolutely a comfort show. Like, and I remember specifically like getting through season 1 and Jess was like, oh, who's your favorite character? And I said, oh, Johnny. And she was taken aback.
I was because it's not a popular answer, I don't think.
Yeah.
And Will, I feel like this is kind of consistent with your personality though, where a lot of times you like the person that's like keeping all the crazies in
the
check.
Normal one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We watch Bob's Burgers and I'm rooting for Bob.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Well,
The
these
fact that
kids
he's
are
like,
messing
Bob
up the
is my
restaurant.
favorite.
Yeah. He's relatable.
I don't know how you can. I mean, listen, I can understand almost anyone on Bob's Burgers being your favorite character, except for Bob.
I love
like,
Bob. He's so
I just
funny.
don't. You have Tina, you have Louise,
Oh my
Linda, who's my favorite.
God.
I don't understand this.
But you've got to have the sensible one. Like, to give Will some credit here, you have to have a sensible person for everyone to kind of bat off. Without Johnny, without Bob, you wouldn't have the kind of like absurdities standing out as much. So
you need someone reacting to that and like being the level-headed voice in the room, like, no, that's not the right thing to do.
I guess that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a very, I remember watching it with you in 2020. It's like such a comforting show. I think a lot of people probably discovered it around that time. I know
when it was
really
on Netflix and it was just like all available for us in the US.
And I know it blew up when it originally moved to Netflix in like 2017, 2018, I think, before it was even done. I think that's when like a lot of Americans at least found it because it wasn't available anywhere for us until then, to my knowledge, at least. But let's get into season 2, episode 6, Moira versus Town Council. We'll do a little bit of a recap at the top as usual. Big changes are happening in Schitt's Creek. Moira secured some boxwood flowers from the Town Council for the motel and cafe to cheer things up a bit. Alexis and Mutt had a silent breakup after they realized their communication styles just don't complement each other. And of course, Mutt also shaved his beard, which, let's be honest, is the main reason why anyone would really want to date him. So she struggles with the breakup and confides in David that Mutt is the first boyfriend she actually let know her. And they have the most adorable little huggy moment at the end of the episode, which I just adore so much. David has begun the process of rebranding the Blouse Barn, including buying himself new bedding, new face cream, and sweaters, which he says are all tax write-offs. Johnny loses his mind over David spending so much money, especially when he learns that David thinks the government will just pay you back for all of those things. So things are changing, and let's talk about it. Stuart, what did you think of this episode?
Wait, the government doesn't write it all off?
No.
Just write it off.
Just write it off.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to need to amend some expenses for this podcast. Because as a face of the podcast, this takes a lot.
Yeah, you've been spending a lot of money on black shirts and black sweatshirts.
Stuart needs to stay well rested, so he needs a whole new bed set. He needs new pillows, new comforter.
Yeah, every board game behind me, written off.
Write it off.
Yep.
Just in view of the camera.
God, if that's how it works, I would just buy things and shove them in the background.
The TV,
I wish it would be. Weirdly, I kind of thought that back in the day, I did think that was how that kind of worked a little bit. Whenever I would heard about just writing things off for a company thing. Growing up, you come to realize it's just the tax and it's an incentive for businesses and things. But I love the fact that David is David's in his late 20s, right?
He's in his early to mid 30s at this point, I think.
That's even worse. Come on, David. Yeah. Oh my god. But this episode was great. I mean, that was absurd. And then, but the whole Mutt and Alexis, that's so, I didn't expect this one. This one really kind of knocked me for six a bit, because I was like, okay, oh god, he shaved a bit. Oh god, things are getting a bit kind of off. Oh god, it's happening. And it happened, and it's done. Done. Which I didn't think would happen this early. I thought this was going to get drawn out.
Nope.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like the Ted and Alexis breakup takes a really long time. We see it coming for episodes and episodes and episodes until it actually ends. Yeah, because
she doesn't want to have the conversation. But here, they kind of just do it like this. They're just looking, and they just have the whole conversation, and you can just read it on their faces.
And that just shows the talent, right?
Not great podcasting.
Not great podcasting, but Annie Murphy is so talented. I feel like you can read her emotions on her face very easily. And I find the most interesting aspect of Alexis and Mutt to be their breakup. I think it makes so much sense. And I have to imagine a lot of people watching can relate to it, because I know it starts, we joke, it starts with Mutt shaving his beard, but the honest truth is they're just incompatible in the ways that they communicate. She wants to talk a lot, and he enjoys silence. And I'm sorry, those two things really aren't compatible. As someone who talks a lot, can confirm that you kind of want to be with someone who likes that, who likes someone who talks a lot and doesn't feel the need to always be so vocal, right, Will? We're on a podcast. You have to say yes and not just nod for the video.
I know,
for the video people.
Yeah, I feel like there can be a bit of a balance. You talk a lot, I talk sometimes. I'm a good listener, I think, which makes up for a lot of it. Not that I'm I don't seek the silence as much as Mutt, I don't think.
Yeah, I would not be happy if I was Alexis and I was just trying to have a little conversation with my boyfriend and he made fun of me for wanting to talk to him. Yeah. I feel like even if you're not necessarily the chattiest person, that's fine. But I mean, let's get into the beard debate, right? While I understand where Mutt's coming from in terms of he doesn't need Alexis's approval necessarily. They've only been dating for a hot second. However, I do think some warning is nice. You have a whole different face and I woke up to it. Like I'm with Alexis on this.
Does she need to run her haircuts by him? Like, where's the line here? Like, it's his own face.
I'm not saying approval. I'm saying a heads up would be nice.
There's an argument to be made that Alexis shouldn't sleep in then, because Matt was just off shaving, and then she was awake. She may have been aware of it. But I think, yeah, certainly waking her up by like kissing her with a new face was not the best choice.
Yeah, that's
it really spooked
the weirdest way to reveal it.
Yeah. And let's be real. Half of Mutt's appeal is his beard, and the other half is his abs. So he's taken away 50% of what makes him appealing as a partner.
I do agree that it's better with a beard for Mutt, but like it's his own choice. That's his own face. I don't blame him in the slightest for doing it. And Team Mutt is all I'm gonna say.
Wow. Bold
Very upset right now.
I will say though, like Mutt's already rocking like a 5 o'clock shadow immediately after shaving. It doesn't seem like the beard's
he probably
take
just
that long to come
busted. He
back.
didn't do like the straight razor.
Yeah.
It grows back in a day.
Yeah, it'll cover his little doll lips quite quickly.
The
Don't
doll
worry
lips
about that.
killed me. Look at your little doll lips.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the appropriate time, Will, for you and I to bring in the history that we have with one of the people in the relationship shaving their beard without giving prior notice. I think this is the time.
Did I shave without prior notice, or did I just say I was going to? And then you were like, no.
There was no notice. There was no notice. And I will tell you why there was no notice. This is way, way, way back. Will and I were dating a few months at this point, right? Will, was it the first summer that we were dating?
Yeah.
So first summer that we were dating, hadn't even yet been a year in our relationship. And we go to my parents' camp and we're on like a boat they have there. And we were bringing,
that wasn't the first time.
This is the first time. Yes, I have a terrible memory. I remember this.
Sure.
So we were taking our dog across the lake in a boat, and he is a ball obsessed dog. Drops his ball outside of the boat into the water. He jumps in the water to get said ball. And as he's trying to then get himself back in the boat, which isn't easy because he's a dog, he is moving towards what is a trolling motor on the boat. And we don't want him to get anywhere near the trolling motor. It's dangerous, right? So Will is trying to pull him back into the boat, and our dog's, one of his nails scratches Will in the face. So by the time we get to where we're going, Will's bleeding from the face. So he's all upset. He's, it's a whole thing. I take the dog. He goes to clean himself up at the bathroom at the other location, the other house. Suddenly, like an hour later, I don't know how long it was, but it felt like an hour.
No, all I did was I went there. I had to like shave to like to clean it correctly.
Yeah, it was like on his like lip, lip
it was
area.
Like within the beard, below my lip, going towards my chin. It was like not like the smallest scratch.
It was not that big.
I shaved like clean when I had a full beard.
He had a beard similar to what he has now, which is like Mutt style beard, where it's not just fuzz, it's like a full beard. He comes back with a baby face. And I was like, excuse me, who is this 16-year-old I've been dating? Like, hello? And he just comes back and he acts like it's just a normal thing. Like, that's just a normal thing. And he's like, well, I had to shave it to clean it. And I was like, you could have just like given me a heads up. Because I literally, Will, you came back and I was like, I had to do a double take because I did not recognize you.
I feel like that's not a good example because like I had a reason to do it, like to like medically, like
you've done it since then though. You've since done this before.
Since then, like randomly, like I just decide one day, like, and that's it.
You gotta do it to check for like more cuts, more medical stuff. It's a medical thing, Jess. You can't shout at this.
Not the second time it wasn't. The second time he just did it to antagonize. Might have been
building another box for David, and then he like scratched himself in the face.
No, he's just like, every 6 months I just casually change my entire face.
Really, that's what I would do. Like, I haven't shaved in around a year now, but like every 6 months I would just clean start and then continue on.
Yeah. I just like to be warned, I'm like Alexis. I need a warning if you're going to like drastically change your face.
It's
and I'm not saying I'm not saying I need to approve it because it is your face, and I would never let you tell me what to do with like my hair, as an example. Yeah. But it'd be nice to have a warning, you know? I'm just saying. And I don't blame Alexis for not liking Mutt with a clean-shaven face because it is jarring, and he has like very sharp jawline, which weirds me out a little bit.
Some people like that.
I don't. It's not for me.
You got to cover that sharp jawline up. You might get cut.
Yeah. Stuart, where do you weigh in on all of this?
I kind of agree in a way. Like, I think the notice would have been appreciated, especially considering it's like a drastic change, and she's only ever known Mutt with the beard, so it is like quite a fundamental thing. But ultimately, yeah, it's Mutt's face. Mutt can do whatever he likes. I think maybe just how he revealed it would be something. But I just want to say, like, and clarify, couples therapy here is not a tax write-off. So I just want to clarify that.
I already wrote it off.
We're getting billed. Oh no. But yeah, like if say like Alexis were to like shave her hair off and stuff like that, I'm sure Mutt would have the same reaction and wouldn't be like kind of as indignant as he is being in this whole scenario and things. But I think that like the pair of them are like, this is just bringing forth what is the fundamental issue, which is a great kind of plot device to do it with, because it does come across as a very funny thing. And good on the actor for Mutt, like playing along with it and stuff. I'm not too sure, like, kind of how comfortable they were with shaving it, but didn't look entirely bad. Didn't look as great. Like, I think Mutt definitely does look better with the beard. But to bring it out and to kind of confront their relationship a little bit and to kind of establish that they do have these kind of like diametric opinions on things, like her being a really talkative person and feeling the noise, and him just not filling it with anything because he doesn't feel that there is a need to, and the two of them just not understanding that beyond sex they have nothing to talk about. Like, the beard is the biggest thing they've talked about in their entire relationship, and that really is telling, isn't it? It's kind of sad.
Yep.
Yeah.
The last time they talked about something other than their own relationship was Mutt talking about his other relationship with her.
Yeah, and that's telling too, right? That like they both were in other relationships when they kind of met, so it felt a little bit different. And I don't know, I love that they show the incompatibility between these two, especially because I can so relate to Alexis. And this is no slight against you, Will. I feel like this has happened with probably every guy I've ever dated, where it's like, oh, what are you thinking about? Like, what do you want to talk about? And the guy's always like, nothing. And you're like, how is it? Like, I don't understand how your brain can ever be empty, because mine is always like a rocket jet, just like zoom, like bouncing, ping ponging off of different ideas. Mm-hmm. And I am Alexis, and I simply do not understand how you can have nothing happening up here. You know,
it's, you're born with it, I guess.
I think this is a great growth episode, Stuart, for Alexis, in that she kind of recognizes, I love what she says, I've seen doctors about the fact that I feel nothing when I'm in relationships. But she actually does, like, she's sad. She's sad about this breakup, that she says, I actually let him know me, which feels like a huge growth moment for her in general, right? To have that in a relationship, but then for it to end and her saying to David, like, I need a hug. Like, I think I need a hug right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that the growth that she is like she's feeling is quite like a profound moment for her. I think that she's perhaps attributing too much of it to Mutt, because really how much of her like did she kind of expose other than really kind of like just being vulnerable with the whole Ted situation? Like, I don't really see how there's been that much growth from that respect. But it's nice to see her have this kind of very mature, like at first it doesn't start out as mature when they're sat there in the diner and they're in silence and she's kind of just making the awkward, almost like toddler noise of just, I want to talk, like, and then the silence kind of sits in and she just sits with it, and then this maturity comes through from her, this kind of understanding of, this isn't working and this won't be good long term. So it is best to kind of do it. And they just hold hands, and she respects the silence of the moment and does that, which I think that's the growth moment, I think, more than anything else. And I think that the vulnerability is entirely in this scene here. I don't really see it being displayed anywhere else. Like, I can't really see where that's come from, really, other than this bit here.
Yeah. I think Alexis is a very interesting character where, like, at times she seems like, oh, all bubbly and, like, maybe a little bit airheaded, but then she has these moments of, like, emotional awareness, like, about like, others or about herself, where she just says exactly what's going on. And it's just like, oh, and you didn't expect that from her. And this is one of the biggest ones we've seen, at least so far, of her, like, seeing herself and, like, being sad about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also love, like, I think the physical acting in the hug scene between her and David is great.
Yeah.
Because it's like at first you could tell they don't hug a ton, so it's a little awkward, but then they kind of lean into it and, like, really actually hug. And it just makes me so happy because we get a lot of, like, the David and Alexis bickering, as siblings do. But I mean, let's face it, Alexis has, like, Twyla, and that's it. Currently, like, where that she is now, right? She no longer has much. She no longer has Ted, and she has David. And David is the person she's confiding in. Maybe confiding a little bit too much. Like, I don't think your brother wants to hear about your sexcapades in the barn, but
doesn't want to hear about the rafters.
She's like, this one time we were in the rafters. It's like, Alexis, stop it. But yeah, I think it's a huge moment for her. And I think, Stuart, you probably weren't expecting to get a Mutt and Alexis breakup 6 episodes into this season. I love how swiftly they're like, boom, done.
Yep.
Yeah. I love the fact that it's over quickly because both of them recognize that it was just a lust thing. Like, I can't remember who it was, which of them said it. It must have been Alexis, who said that, like, they lusted over each other for so long that was it. That was all there was. It was just chasing that.
Yeah.
And it's like a dog chasing a car. It's like, once you get to the car, what else is there?
Yeah.
They were both in different relationships and, like, super attracted to each other. And that was the spicy bit. And once the other bits were gone and they were just left with each other, it's like, oh, this is who we are as a couple now. And this is not good. Like, it's lost its appeal.
Yeah.
And it's sad that is the appeal, really. That, like, that was all there was, that was this basis for. And it kind of makes me feel even sadder for Ted, really, because Ted really threw everything in that relationship. And it was thrown away over this kind of, like, lust and desire that then fizzled out so quickly. And, like, I'm sure Ted is getting on with it like a champ. Like, Twyla certainly is. Twyla, like, bringing them cake and 2 forks, like an absolute sweetheart.
What do you think Ted has been up to? Like, we haven't seen him in a little bit.
I imagine he's probably catching up on a ton of work that he probably was missing with Alexis. I mean, dude had a lot of vacations booked up, if I recall. Maybe he's just actually on those vacations of holidays that he'd booked up in the future of, like, different
non-refundable, right?
Non-refundable, all inclusives.
It's great to be a friend of Ted in that moment. Like, oh, I have another space on this vacation. If you
free
can get off of work, like, come on.
Yeah.
It does beg the question, though, of just why Ted and Twyla didn't, like, get it together, maybe. Like, maybe there's something in there. I don't know. I
think Twyla's a little bit too much of a weirdo for Ted.
True, yeah. She's got some experiences. I don't think Ted
did have that one moment where he was like, don't drink that. After
the smoothie.
The nature smoothie, it's just like, whatever.
Maybe he's been there. Maybe he understands kind of, like, the dangers that come with Twyla and the smoothies.
The Meadow Forest smoothie.
I'm sure he went to school with her too. Like, he was bullied by Mutt in, like, school, being shoved to mockers, and I'm sure Twyla was there also and probably had her own thing going on.
Yeah.
So maybe it's been there, like, seen that situation. No, thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about David and what's happening over at the Blouse Barn. We've gotten rid of the busty mannequins, so that's a plus. We've gotten some candles that are just for, aesthetic design reasons. They're not selling them. I love Wendy being like, no, but David, the jewelry holders. So she's really upset about this. Stuart, I want to know your guesses on where this is going. David's making some pretty drastic changes at the Blouse Barn.
He's doing it without real plans or understanding of the Blouse Barn, I think. Like, the Blouse Barn's demographic is Jocelyn. Jocelyn loves the Blouse Barn as it is. So why is David intent on changing it to something that it's not?
Yeah.
And I think this is going to come to a head. Yeah. Like, Schitt's Creek, as much as like Moira is doing great work to try and like elevate it, it's not bougie yet. So David needs to slow it down a bit and provide what people need, which is busty blouses, which is what and like jewelry from cheap jewelry stands.
Yeah, colorful like button ups.
Yeah,
but these black and white boring bits.
He's doing like some small good things. So like introducing the candles, making it smell nice, maybe kind of decluttering it, which is probably a good thing. But I think it's all too much too soon. And Wendy's going to have a fit eventually. Like, I can't see this working out long term at all. But I don't know how that's going to rectify itself. Like, is David going to get sacked? I hope he doesn't get sacked because they need a job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me, too, that Johnny seems really proud of David for getting this job all on his own, right? He's like, grab a beer, son. You've earned it. Oops, I drank the last one.
Yeah.
But it turns so quickly when he's just like, how do you not understand write-offs? Like, why are you spending? It almost feels, I don't know. How do you take Johnny telling David what to do with his money? Is it too far? Or is it like, I'm looking out for you and your spending habits are atrocious?
I think it's gotten to the point like where David has bought all of these ridiculous things and like he needs to step in and like snap him into shape at least a little bit, because like, no, that's not how this works. You can't just write that off. That's real money you're spending right now. And like, you're just making your first money. So he needs to be the parent and like show him like, you should slow down a little bit. And David's like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing, going at everything with 100% confidence like he like always does, except probably not inside his own head where he's probably insecure all the time. But he has to have this sense of like, I don't know, style that he refuses to lose because that's who he sees himself as.
It's weird kind of rectifying that with what Moira was saying about kind of accepting the life that you have kind of thing. Because David very much lives that, doesn't he? Like with the whole thing of, well, no, I deserve better and I am the face of the company. Like he's the brand ambassador for the Blouse Barn. So he is going to kind of like get the candles, he's going to get the bedding, the face stuff and everything like that. But the misplaced confidence, like, David, come on, buddy. Like, surely you know better than this. You're not that silly. It's weird to see Johnny have to kind of like bat that down, but I do think that the question, Jess, that Johnny is meddling in a weird way of like almost selfishness, like in terms of like wanting to control the situation a little bit, because Johnny's the first one to make a request for David to buy something for himself, which comes later with the toilet roll, and poor Stevie having to like just stand there and be it like another like kind of fly on the wall in an episode again of just like, I'm just here to observe the Roses being absolute savages almost to each other, of just being horrible and like learning things all the time. It's I don't know if Johnny's that well intentioned.
I do think he sees David's job as like a family opportunity rather than just an opportunity for David, right? And I think it's more than just money, right? Legacy, I think, like, oh, the Roses are making a name for themselves again. I think that's something that's really important to Johnny. And to the Stevie matter of it all, because I feel like Stevie has been fairly quiet for the last few episodes. I did love what we got from her this episode of like, I was going to leave, but now I don't want to. And I just want to sit here and watch this car crash. I think I'm a little different than Stevie in that I want to listen to the drama and the gossip, but I want to be unobserved while I would want to be on the other side of the door, just like ear listening. I don't want there to be a chance of someone turning to me and be like, Jessica, where do you weigh in on all of this? I don't want to have to weigh in on any of it. I just want to listen, quietly from my corner. Will, I feel like you're Will is a secret like gossip monger. He loves gossip more than he lets on. You do. You love the tea.
Sure. Yeah. Spill that tea to me all day. I love it. I don't want to be involved in it at all. I just want to know about it.
Yeah.
Like if I could swap places with anyone in the show, it'd be Stevie, because you just get a front row seat to the Rose family.
Yeah.
And all of them. And like sometimes like she'll be in the room and like Moira will turn to her and like give her the spotlight, and Stevie's like, no. But most of the time she can just stand there with a nice like cup of coffee or like with her phone and like take the picture of David on the bike when he doesn't want it recorded at all. And it's just like the best place you could possibly be, because you're just the fly on the wall in the insane like room,
just observing this.
Yeah. But I would definitely want to be Stevie.
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing that Stevie doesn't have more profound like kind of role in the show at this point, because I feel like she's had the storyline with David, and we got a lot of Stevie with that. And what with David and Stevie branching off, like David doing his own thing and stuff, I feel like Stevie's kind of being left in the lurch a little bit. But I still think Stevie has like a profound place in this show, in being in the motel. And I think that like if I was to quibble over the kind of choices that we had, is they opened with Moira and Johnny talking about the state of the kind of motel grounds, and I had like kind of wanting to like do that. I don't see why that conversation couldn't have happened with Stevie, and like Moira going to Stevie and having a thing with them, because I don't think we've had too much of Moira and Stevie. Like whenever we have had anything, it's been very kind of short-lived, I think. So I think Stevie's kind of getting pushed aside a little bit, which I'm not a fan of, but then I do like shifting the spotlight and stuff. I hope it's just not indicative of how it's going to go on from ahead. With
this many characters, like the spotlight does like shift from time to time. And like we had a big spotlight on Alexis here, and like Moira in like the other story of the episode. But I'd say like wait and see for like more Stevie like spotlight stuff.
Yeah, especially because we're also now including, talking about Moira, right? We have like the whole town council meeting. And so we're including people like Ronnie and Bob is there, and Roland, they're getting a lot more airtime than they got in season 1. And so, of course, with 20-something minute show, the time is going to come away from some character. But I like your idea, Stuart, of having Moira have the conversation with Stevie, especially because their dynamic can be really fun, because she's a bit like Moira is a bit of a David, right? And so you are going to have those a little bit of like opposite side of things, clash. And I do love Moira in this episode. I love her stomping into town council and being like, I'm ready. Like, I've cleared my schedule. Let's talk. It's funny. And
like they were just waiting for her.
Of course. Everyone's always waiting for Moira to show up.
Yeah.
It really reminds me of my friend Tom, who rather drunkenly divulged to me once that when he was younger, genuinely believed that the world was almost like Truman Show, like in a way, that he believed that when people weren't around, they were like NPCs in a video game and they just ceased to exist, and they only existed when he was around. And I was like, Tom, this is madness. And he goes, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Justin's grown up and doesn't believe it, but I just had to share that and shame him for that.
It's a lot, but I like how Ronnie respects it, and she's like, what you did today was a win. Like, you're not going to get exactly what you asked for, but you're going to get something, and that's a win. Yeah. And so I like that, because we've seen them clash in the past, right? I could think of when it's Moira's surprise party and Ronnie has just like zero patience for Moira.
Yeah.
I like this storyline of like Ronnie kind of seeing Moira as maybe an equal of like, nah, she could get shit done. Like Moira's impressive when she wants to be.
And it's especially impressive based on like the conversation that was going on right before Moira like bursts in. It's like adding like a wheelchair ramp that isn't so steep, and Roland's like, no, you really got to wind up and like really go for it.
Telling
all the
to
things to shut down and not get involved in as the town council.
Telling wheelchair user to build up speed on a ramp that faces out to traffic.
You really gotta just go.
Not the idea.
And Bob as the guy who takes minutes for the meetings.
Why?
I love because Ray used to be the one who did it, and Ray is no longer on town council. It's so good.
They're all like annoyed at Ray for leaving, and it's definitely because he was the one that did the notes.
No one. Listen, to be the minute taker in any meeting is never a role that anyone wants except me. I love taking notes for meetings, and I think that is why people appreciate when I'm around because they don't have to do it.
In meetings and in D&D games,
I'm always
the note taker is highly appreciated by all.
And the thing is you just, if you're gonna, obviously I'm a little more professional in, work meetings, but for Dungeons and Dragons, listen, if you're gonna have me be the note taker, you're gonna have to appreciate that I'm gonna do it in my own way, and there's gonna be all caps everywhere. And if I'm shocked, it's gonna say I'm shocked to the notes. They're not an objective set of notes; they're very much subjective. But I just love the idea of I picture Bob as very much like my dad types, where it's like a finger pecker. You kind of just like and that's it. So it's like he cannot keep up with the flow of the town council meeting.
I kind of loved it. Bob was just everything that I despise in a work colleague, but as a third-party observer was hilarious. I love the fact that Ray, though, recognizes that he's too busy because he has a thriving empire. He has real estate, travel, photography. He was doing an estate sale auction before, was he not?
Yes, that was him.
Throwing shade to Johnny as well. It seems to be like his 5th job that he seems to have taken on as well. Like Ray's industrious.
Like in this small town, like Ray seems to be like a pillar of the society in a way that like no one like talks about, but he's doing like everything everywhere.
It's that Winnipeg work ethic.
I think this must happen. And I grew up in like a semi-small town, nothing as small as Schitt's Creek, but this must happen in towns this small where it's like you don't necessarily have a real estate agent and a photographer, and it's like, well, we need both of those things, and neither one of these businesses is enough to provide for me and my family and whatever. So I guess I'm going to do all of the things.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I have to take pictures of the house, but I already have the camera, so I may as well just do this also.
Yeah, I love Ray. And I love how quickly Moira dismisses him. Like, okay, never mind. You are of absolutely zero use to me. Goodbye.
She literally just stood up mid-conversation, started walking out. I was like, respect her. I've got to respect her.
Yeah, and Ray just rolls with it. He's like, okay.
Bye. Bye. Yeah, I love Moira this episode. Gosh, it is a fun episode. Most of these episodes are really fun, but this one had some great moments. I feel like we had a nice mix of comedy and growth for some characters.
Completely.
Let's get into some feedback that we have. So obviously the beard stuff is very controversial, and we're going to hear about it from a couple of people. So I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong, but some people are right or wrong. Aaron says, Alexis and Mutt have not been together long enough for her to have a say in his beard. Keen to hear if a partner ever really has a say. Probably not, but maybe an FYI. Not sure I would care very much about my husband's beard choice. And also, Twyla is surprisingly chill about Alexis and Mutt. I think I'd turn the friendly dial down if that was me. David's big bear hug for Alexis at the end is my favorite. Yeah. I don't know. What is the marker? What is the line of like, how long do you have to be in a relationship before you at least deserve a heads up? I feel like a few months is fair warning, 3 months, maybe.
3 months. Yeah. Like when it's kind of serious, like
maybe after the I love yous.
You say I love you within a few months.
Yeah.
Commitment, babe. Here, just go.
Yeah. I don't remember. Will would probably remember more than I would how long
it was
took
probably
us,
a few months.
I don't think it even was that long, Will.
It might. I think I was waiting for a few months, and then you did it, and then I was like,
yeah, because I'm usually not the one to say it first, and I didn't like that you made me do it. So
well, I had been that guy in the past, and I didn't want to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
you were a jump in.
If you gave me like
body.
another week, I probably would have done it.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, well, because you're like I'm not going to test the waters. I'm leaping in like full cannonball style.
Yeah.
Also, Twilight is very chill. Good for her. Maybe she really doesn't care. I also like.
Maybe she shouldn't because like he
sucked.
Like she was dating him like 2 weeks ago. Like
yeah, you deserve
like good
better.
on her for like not being like mad at either of them, but like she shouldn't have to care because like protect your own health, like happiness.
Yeah, I kind of think that maybe Twyla was maybe not aggrieved with the whole breakup because she kind of arrived at it a little bit herself thanks to Alexa's help. So maybe there was kind of a softer landing there. But yeah good on Twyla for being just an absolute, just like good friend in the whole situation.
Yeah.
Nick says the last time I clean shaved my beard off resulted in such a reaction that it was the last time. Nick, I know your wife listens, and girl, I'm with you. Okay, I just want to say that, girl, I'm with you. All right.
Yeah,
if we like facial hair, we like facial hair.
Yeah,
it's not our fault.
We had a little talk before we started recording, and I had an idea where I was going to get up like 5 minutes in and shave and come back just to see the reaction. And it would have been great for the YouTube people, but it would have done nothing for the podcast people.
It would have been bad for your
other than Jess's reaction. Jess's reaction probably would have been legendary.
Yeah. The podcast listeners would be like, why are there 60 seconds of silence and now just expletives?
I think the thing is, though, Will has to remember that we live together. And once the podcast ends, we're in a house together.
That's why it's just a joke, and I didn't really do it.
There you go. Anjaman. I don't know how to pronounce this, but maybe one of those is right. I try to let my husband do whatever he feels like with his facial hair. The only time I really have an opinion was the beard with mustache because it was scratchy to kiss. Luckily for me, he mostly leaves it the same because my brain hates the change, and I end up mentioning how weird he looks a lot because my mental picture hasn't adjusted. I love all of these people so much. That's interesting. I don't know if I would have. I'm trying to think of like if you had, instead of shaving all of your face, if you had like left a mustache, I think I would have hated it. I don't really care for like just a mustache look.
I've got to ask this: when you did shave it, did you do what everyone should do, which is try out all the different styles as you do?
1,000%. That's the only way to do it. You do like every different time you do it, you try something else. You try like the like long mustache, the handlebars. You get the mutton chops for a second.
Did I tell you my first boyfriend had massive mutton chops?
What?
They were
Did you
huge.
Date like an 18th century English farmer? Like what the heck?
He just really liked mutton chops. I didn't really care for them, but you know. We hear from Jared. My girlfriend comments that it's spiky whenever I trim mine, but she doesn't really care. I haven't clean shaven in almost 2 years now, although Halloween always brings the possibility that I'll do it. Halloween is a dangerous holiday. You never know what's going to happen to people's facial hair.
I did shave into a mustache only one time because I was Ron Swanson for one Halloween.
Are there pictures?
There's one picture. Yeah.
I'm going to need to see that.
Yeah, I'll have to find it.
Yeah. I did the red polo shirt with the black pants.
Oh my, you did the after sex Ron Swanson?
Yeah, the Tiger Woods.
Stuart, you'd get that reference if you watched Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right over my head. I know who Ron Swanson is.
You should.
Leads me into an email that we got from Jen. Hello, I'm loving your podcast and look forward to it every Friday. I just finished the latest episode and Jessica mentioned starting a petition to get Stuart to watch Parks and Rec. It would be amazing, in all caps, if the two of you did a Parks podcast once you wrap up with Schitt's Creek. I need more Stuart and Jess in my life. Warmest regards, Jen.
I'd listen to it.
Yeah, Stuart needs to watch. I mean, honestly, even without a podcast dedicated to it, Stuart needs to watch Parks and Rec. And Stuart, we all know recently that I've gotten you to watch some Survivor by giving you a curated list. If I did that with Parks and Rec, would you consider? Because I don't think you need to watch every single episode of Parks and Rec, especially because it's a sitcom.
I mean,
is the curated list just avoiding season 1?
No,
there's some good stuff in season 1.
there is some good stuff in season 1, but I would actually curate it, and I could easily do this because, Will, I don't know if you remember this. I've ranked a fair amount of. Parks
I
and Rec
remember
episodes.
we did that together.
Yeah. Did we do all of it? I don't know if we ever finished.
No, I definitely fell off partway through and stopped ranking.
Yeah.
But I think you might have.
I got decently far into it, so I'd be able to provide you with a very good list of the necessities.
I think you should just watch all of it.
I'm trying to make it easy for you, Stuart. I'm just saying.
I'm not.
I mean, if I have to purchase it, can I write it off? That's my only question.
It's a tax write-off.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, as podcasters about TV, all the streaming services write off, every single one.
Probably that well the case.
All right, let's get into our ratings here. Let's find out who's simply the best and who is a disgruntled pelican. Will, this episode, who are you giving the simply the best point to?
The temptation to give it to Mutt is high. But I think I have to reward the biggest win of the episode, which belongs to Moira. And she got those plans, even though her children thought they were always there. Or maybe
no one
even
picked up the dirty condom, though.
No.
It's still at you.
They're coming back for it.
It's so gross. Also, yeah. I can't help but note that I felt like Alexis was wearing a breakup outfit because she had a beanie on, and I'm like, since when do you ever wear a beanie, Alexis? What's happening?
She needs to put it over her eyes when she cries.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Stuart, who is simply the best for you?
I've got to agree. Moira did some good civic service in trying to clean up the town. She did add in some selfishness, what with getting the planters, 2 for the motel and the cafe, where she just happens
and around
to
the
live.
Town, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, cleaning it up and doing a wealth of good work in Schitt's Creek is absolutely needed. And to push through and get through Roland's bureaucracy, absolutely top tier work. I think she more than definitely earned it.
I'm giving my simply the best point to Alexis. And jokingly, I can say it's because of the beard thing, but really it's because I feel like this was a very big breakup for her. And I think she handled it much better than she handled the Ted one. So just in this small amount of time, seeing that amount of growth from Alexis and recognizing, even saying I think I need a hug. I think that's what I need, and vocalizing it and putting yourself out there and making yourself vulnerable in a way that David could very easily poke fun at you. I just feel like it was a big growth moment for Alexis. So I'm giving my simply the best point to Alexis this episode. Let's talk about the disgruntled pelican. Stuart, where are you going this episode with your disgruntled pelican point?
Okay. I'm usually stuck between a few for a lot of these. So I'm going to articulate my kind of thinking here. Roland was bad again. Very bad. Poor Jennifer being told that she's got to kind of ramp it up the ramp.
Work on that upper body strength, really.
But as much as Roland is objectively bad, I have to, I think, give it to Bob for 2-finger typing and not keeping up. It really angered me so much.
That's hilarious. I never would have considered giving it to Bob this episode.
Shock.
Moira goes off on this whole soliloquy, and Bob gets caught up on what was it, babies?
Who's the baby in prison?
How many babies were there?
Are in prison?
And it's that was 5 minutes ago, Bob. Ask the babies in prison.
What about you, Will? Who are you going to give your disgruntled pelican point to?
You see, that's a very good one, and I almost want to hop on board. But I think I gotta give it to David, because all that money he made is now gone, and he probably spent more than he made, because at least it's on not his personal card, it's on the company card, but I think he's probably going to have to pay for some of that stuff with his first check. So I gotta pull a little rug out from David, which he could write off the rug.
What if David bankrupts the blouse barn? Like, that would be the worst.
That'd be wild.
Because he has luxury tastes, so every candle he's purchased is super expensive.
Yeah,
he probably bought his ice cream from Paris again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really waffling on this episode. I feel like there's plenty of no one does anything egregious, but there are people who do a little bit of annoying things, right? Like I feel like Johnny comes down really hard on David. Also, offering him a beer when there's none left is like that. Party.
Yeah, that's a dick move. Like, if you've taken the last beer, right?
Yeah, the fridge is empty. Come on.
Like, he's trying to be like, oh, this is my son and I'm the dad, and like I want to congratulate him, but then he just like mistakenly forgot that they were out.
I could give it to Roland for the wheelchair ramp. I could give it to Mutt. And for shaving his own face. Yeah, but I won't do it because I know it's a bit too far if I give it to Mutt. Because I really won't, because I really thought the breakup was very mature, like on both ends. So I won't give it to Mutt. I think I am gonna give it to Roland. Like, seriously, don't tell a person in a wheelchair just to work harder. Like, you're a dick. Stop it.
It's like, oh, the ramps are fine. You just really gotta do it. Like,
you gotta get a head start.
Just like maybe start from uphill and it'll like carry you.
Yeah, terrible. We don't have any Moira wigs this episode, unfortunately. Maybe next time, but that's going to bring us to our ranking of the episodes, our tier ranking of the episodes.
Are we sure we don't want to go back and fix what Sarah messed up?
Stop it. Will was very upset that we moved things after the fact.
Yeah,
he was very upset by it.
We gotta just put it back where it was and move estate sale down.
I mean, I'm a very persuadable person. Let's just put it that way. Make a case, and
if you want to make your case, I'll
roll a persuasion check.
Don't act like you have dice in front of you.
I mean, it doesn't really matter to me, but I did bother me in the moment a lot.
I know, because I heard about it,
especially because I didn't like estate sale as much. Like, but it's fine. We can move past. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was the best. Like, I thought what was the second episode, the family dinner. I thought that was better personally, but honestly at this point I've forgotten half the plot lines. I don't have an argument. So
what about Moira versus Town Council? What about this episode? Where on this tier?
I loved it. I would argue for full bouquet at the least. Where do you guys stand on it?
I was thinking bottom end of full bouquet, maybe even top of Love That Journey for me, purely for the lack of real kind of guttural belly laughs. We had some good plot going on, but it was mostly a drama-filled episode, and I'm hoping a bit more of a like kind of setting up a future plots and things. Like, I want to see Moira take over and run for mayor against Roland or something like that, maybe. So I kind of like, I do like the setups and stuff, but as a setup, I don't want to rank that higher because of what may come in the future. So I'm thinking bottom end of full bouquet, maybe. What about you, Jess?
I was honestly leaning towards either bottom end of full bouquet or top of Love That Journey for me, because I think it's a solid episode, but I think the lack of me dying laughing would keep me from putting it more than above average. Like, I like this episode and I think it's fun and I really like it for Alexis. But when I'm looking at the three plot lines, in my opinion, Alexis's is the only one that like really stands out. And it's mostly for like growth reasons, not for hysterical laughing reasons. So that's where I would lean. I probably would lean top of Love That Journey for me instead of bottom of full bouquet. But I'm persuadable.
Jess, do you need a hug? Like, I think the growth is enough for me to push it up, but
yeah, and, I can do that. I can do
Moira just talking to the town council and like getting them to do what she wants is like, I live for that moment. Like, like there apparently with Rhaegon there is an open spot, so we could just put her right in there and then we're all happy.
Everyone's happy.
would actually be kind of wild. I can't see Moira taking minutes though. I think
never. She would
Yeah.
get an intern for that. You know, she'd find an intern.
But she'd be like David. She'd
What's
start
Johnny
roll and
doing?
start
Make
spending.
him show up and type for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuart, are you happy with it here?
Yeah, I think putting it into full bouquet, I think is justifiable. I think there's a few laughs that we've not made like complete reference to. Like, firstly, Alexis's reaction to the beard, talking about being a beard for a famous actor as well, was a really another building of this Alexis lore beforehand that we've never got to and stuff. The Winnipeg line from Ray as well was actually really funny. So I think that I don't want to detract away from the comedy of it and stuff. So I think putting full bouquet is like perfectly justifiable.
Yeah, it makes sense. I do love her screaming when he wakes her up by kissing her. Like, I don't have much. It's so good.
I just realized something we haven't talked about at all. Moira's laugh at the beginning.
How can you laugh without moving your mouth?
Yeah,
incredible
the reaction. Yeah, we should have talked about that. Oh my god,
how
epic! I'm even happy that I gave her the point, because that cracked me up.
It's ridiculous. And the only downside to us not putting this in Love That Journey for me is that Alexis literally says, Mutt, I don't think that's the right journey for you at this point.
Yeah.
Did we put it down? Did we put it at the top of the Love That Journey for me?
We still have time, but it's up to you two. No. I'm good either way.
No. That was a pretty good argument right there. Let's just leave it. Let's just leave it.
Okay, we'll leave it. We'll leave it where it is. So yeah, it is really. I mean, Moira, I don't understand how she can scream like that with her mouth closed. I just don't get how that is a thing that can happen.
So and the fact that like just no one seems to like Johnny was
it's happening.
Normal behavior.
Yeah.
Weird.
Catherine O'Hara just knocks it out of the park with this character every second she's on screen.
She's a legend.
The show would not be the same without her.
No.
No.
So I promised last podcast that if we got a 5-star review, I would read it aloud on the podcast. And we did get one. So please keep sending them in because I really love it. And it's so sweet. So it's from Gravity Falls. It's the best. That's the username. So thank you so much. They said, great, love the show. However, I would love more frequent uploads. And they always say leave them wanting more. So I think we're still going to do one a week, but we do appreciate you wanting more of them.
Yeah. And the more 5-star reviews you leave with requests for them to do Parks and Rec, the likelier it's going to happen.
That's true.
And if you ask a question in your 5-star review, the more likely it is to get answered.
This is blackmail almost.
Yeah. But if you're getting 5 stars while they're blackmailing you, is it worth it?
Obligated.
Yeah. So we would appreciate any 5-star reviews you want to give. And of course, if you want to send in feedback, we're on all social media at Talkin' Shit. You could watch us on YouTube and you can email us podcast@talkinshit.com. Anything else we have to wrap up before? Oh yeah, I have to tell you the next week's episode's title.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So season 2, episode 7 is titled The Candidate.
It's happening. Moira's gonna run for something. Like, oh my god, yes. I'm predicting the future, guys.
So that will be next week. That will be next week. I can't wait to chat about that episode. And until next time, you can find me on Shit 90 Shows Taught Me, talking Buffy, talking Felicity. We're in some wild Buffy territory. Like, stuff is happening. There are big reveals every episode. I'm losing my mind constantly. I also predicted the future, which go listen to that podcast because I'm be bragging up a storm. It's really exciting. And yeah, Stuart, anything you want to plug, anywhere else people can find you, etc.
Just usual places. Stuart Drinks Tea on all the socials. You can harass me about Parks and Rec or our dubious takes there.
Well, anything you want to plug? I mean, I don't know. Do you tweet about baseball? I don't even know.
Sometimes, like my Twitter is just my name is just Will Afferty, and my wife does great podcasts. You should listen to them, like Talking Shit and like Shit 90 Shows Taught Me. So go listen to that. I don't have much to plug though.
Okay. Well, that you should plug the Hungry Games, Will, because you love the Hungry Games.
The Hungry Games. Yeah, we just started watching that. It's on Peacock, but it's about the bears bulking up for the winter, and it is my favorite new show. And it's only 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hungry Games?
Yeah. There's a bear called
Alaskan
Big Boy,
bears.
and he's a
my
legend.
winner pick.
Yeah, Stuart, you got to get on this.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a
definitely.
3-episode thing. It's really
3
fun.
episodes,
It's
super easy.
And the guy who narrates it is Steed from Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Reese, I forget his last name.
Schitt?
Might be Reese.
On my way off.
Yeah. Wait, no, is that his name on the show? I'm forgetting now. No, his name on the show is Steve. It's Reese.
Yeah. No, go watch it because it's really fun. And if you like animals and wildlife, it's a joyous time just watching
beautifully
some bears.
shot show also. And it's like just
and there's little babies too. There's little
so
cubs.
good. Yeah.
And they have names. They're so cute.
Yeah.
Anyway, Raccoon is a legend. Yes.
Yeah.
Until next week, everyone, warmest regards.
And best wishes.